Okay, hi all. Welcome back to my kitchen. It's almost 3 o'clock. It's 2:45. Before we start getting the leg of lamb ready for roasting, there's a few things that we need to do ahead of time. And I'm going to take you guys outside because, like I said, you're going to need fresh garlic for this. I'm going to let my dogs outside. And I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a gardening video. These are my rosemary. I have rosemary here. I have a little bit, oh, they're a little bit heavy because we did get quite a bit of rain. This is my other rosemary bush. And I'm going to take a couple of sprigs off of this rosemary bush. And you just want to go kind of towards the bottom of the plant. And don't worry, you're not harming the plant by cutting it. And I'm going to cut maybe a branch off of this one and maybe a branch off of this one. You don't want to go crazy with your rosemary plants because you really don't need to. And I took 4 sprigs of rosemary off of my plants, and I'm gonna put you guys here. You are gonna notice a slight difference in the coloration of my videos with my iPhone, and it's just because my iPhone is a little bit old, and I just checked the update on the camcorder. It'll be delivered sometime between 4 and 6. I'm hoping earlier, but with my luck, it'll be more around the 6 o'clock hour, so you're not going to see any of this video done on that camera. So, now that we have the rosemary, and what I did is I just placed my rosemary in with my basil just to keep it fresh. Now, what you're going to want to do, I'm going to move you guys over here. Hopefully, I'm going to move you guys down eventually. I've got my little tiny Pomeranian. Well, she's not that tiny, but I have my Pomeranian that's right behind me, so I gotta be a little bit careful. You're gonna want a big knife for this next part, and I'm gonna wait, go on out. I'm gonna move you guys down for a minute, or like I like to say where you guys normally do. So if you've never taken cloves off of garlic before, it's relatively easy. They kind of peel sort of like an onion, and you just need to take some of the outer layers. Now, keep in mind, garlic, I'm going to move you up for a second. Garlic is very toxic to both cats and dogs. So if you have dogs or cats in the house, you always want to make sure that you put your garlic bulbs out of reach of any pet, and you do not allow them to chew on it or go near it, because they can be fatal to both cats and dogs. So, I'm going to move you guys back down. I'm just going to take the bulbs. And like I said, you're going to want each clove of garlic sitting out. And I'm going to use probably a good chunk of the garlic, and I'm just going to take my peeling and put those off to the side. And you want to do this for all of the bulbs. Like I said, how many bulbs you need depends on the size. I'm going to move you guys up a little bit so you can see me. It kind of depends on the size of the leg of lamb. Obviously, the more poundage your leg of lamb has, the more cloves you're going to need. And rule of thumb, usually for me, if I'm doing a leg of lamb, is I'll usually do 1 whole bulb. Sometimes I'll even do 2. And if you have really, like this one is really small, leave those off to the side. You can always use those when you do a sauce or something. So I'm going to put the ones that we're working with over there. And I'm going to do, hey, Shadow. Oops, sorry. Was I stepping on you, dear? Do you need to go outside, honey? Sorry, I'm talking to my dogs. It is a nice day. It did rain, and the humidity level has dropped, although it's going to go way up come Sunday. So this may look like a lot of garlic, but when you see what we're going to do with it, it really won't be all that much. And like I said, the smaller cloves like this, put those off to the side, because those are more better when you do like a sauce. Okay, so I have my third bulb of garlic. I'm going to show you how much peeling this makes. That makes a lot of peeling. Okay, I'm going to put you guys down for a second, and I'm going to move you over to here. And like I said, you want to be very careful with the peels, because the entire bulb of garlic is toxic for pets. So always make sure you have a garbage can handy, and if anything happens to drop on the floor, make sure that you pick the stuff up right away. So, in doing this, what we're going to do is we're just going to take one clove at a time, and we're just going to smash it with our knife. And basically what we're going to do is, well, you kind of want to be careful. You don't want to mince it. So, I would say, yeah, maybe that was not smart. Let's see. Usually for this, what I like to do is I like to have it whole. So don't do what I just did, because that minces it a little bit too much. Having one of these is very good. This is what they call a garlic peeler. You just have to press it, and it should take your entire skin off of your garlic, which it did. So that's the up close peeled garlic. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to take the little hard tip off of it. Move that out of the way. And then you want to just, you don't want to chop it, you just want to cut it into slices. And I'm going to show you. I'm probably using a fairly big knife, but you see, I'm going to hold that up to the camera. That's what you want. You want slices like that. Now, you can do them thin or thick. I wouldn't do them all that thin, but I also wouldn't do them all that thick. And that's why I said you want to look for big cloves of garlic. And this will take some time, so we're going to do another one. And sometimes the peeling comes off really well, and sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. And you want to make sure you keep your peeling off to the side. I'm just going to take that off. And you want to take the little tip off. And then we're just going to make... those off to the side, so you got nice garlic. And I'll do one more, and then I'm going to stop the video. I'll do one more so you can show that. So if you don't have one of these, and these are not that hard to find online, they're just a garlic press. Well, they're a garlic peel press is what I would call them. I'm sure they have another name, because the garlic press is actually totally different, and you don't want that. So we're just gonna sliver our garlic. And rosemary goes really well with lamb. And you can also, if you happen to have a mint jelly, that pairs really well. I've never had lamb with mint jelly. I'm not a huge fan of mint jelly, so that's not something I would necessarily serve with lamb, but you certainly can. A very good red wine, though. You want a really good, nice, dark, deep flavored red wine. Preferably one that you would drink when you do this recipe. You could use the cooking red wine. However, I don't recommend that with lamb because you don't know what the outcome is going to be, especially if you're drinking it. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to finish chopping all of my garlic, and I'll be back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm back. I took the leg of lamb out. It's still wrapped in plastic, and we'll deal with that in a second. I'm going to show you all the garlic that I ended up slicing. And I still have all of this. Kind of angle you back. I have all of this as extra if I need to chop more. I think this might be enough. Now, with the potatoes that we're going to use, you're going to want to make sure you wash these. You do not need to peel these. These are actually going to be roasted potatoes. So we're going to do that in a bit. I'm going to show you the next step. And this leg of lamb, I don't know if you guys can see it, has an Australia 32. So this, I know this lamb came from Australia. And like I said, I'm just feeling it to make sure it's completely defrosted, because that will change your cook time somewhat if you haven't given it enough thawing time. But this feels pretty thawed now, and we're going to see what we're going to do. Now, on the stove, I'm going to move you guys around. Right here, I've got a baking dish. Or cookie sheet, actually. It's one of my cookie sheets. I'm not going to cook the lamb on this cookie sheet. I'm actually going to use the roaster. But while we prepare it, having a nice cookie sheet would be ideal. Now, can you bake this on a cookie sheet? Of course you can. You don't necessarily have to have it up. For the roasting, you can do it in a shallow baking pan. Just keep in mind that if you're going to use liquid such as the red wine with it, it's not going to hold a lot. So you definitely want to use a good roasting pan. So I'm just going to move some stuff over and hope. Nope, my husband did not empty the dishwasher, which kind of doesn't surprise me because we just did dishes yesterday. So I'm going to get this part cut up. And you're going to want a really, really sharp knife for the next thing. And I'm using my big green egg knife. So I'm going to kind of turn you guys over to the sink. And of course you guys, well, yeah, if I angle you like that, you will be able to see. You want cold water running. And you always want to do this over the sink just in case any of your bags are leaking. And stuff. So, now that I have that, I'm going to take my shears and we're just going to cut into the bag. Now, some butchers will give you instructions on how to cook this. Or if you've done leg of lamb before. Now this will easily feed 5 to 6 people. So we're going to have leftover lamb for quite a while. I'm just going to throw away the bag. You don't see me on camera. And you just want to wash, you just want to rinse all the blood and the liquid off of your lamb. Now, if you have a good butcher that can trim some of the fat for you, that would be beneficial. or you can do it yourself. So we're going to go over this and we're going to trim a little bit of this fat off. You do want to keep some fat on your lamb. I'm going to turn you guys back around so now you're seeing me. I'm going to try to move you guys a little further back. Unfortunately, my kitchen is not really built well, and I'm hoping with when I get the camcorder that I can do different angles, and I can do a zoom in and zoom out, and I'll also be able to press a button on my camcorder that will pause the video instead of me having to fully stop the video. So I'm just gonna yell at my husband for 1 second. I'm not gonna yell at him, I'm gonna yell down to him. Next time you come up, can you please bring a roll of paper towels? So that wasn't really yelling. So there are two sides to this leg of lamb. There's the top side, and this is the top side, and this is the bottom side. What you want to do with the bottom side is you want to remove as much fat from the bottom. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to take my knife. And this is where I said you want a fairly thick knife. And I'm just going to take the membranes off of this. And this is where having a good butcher comes into play. And actually, you know what? Just gotta remove some of this membrane. You don't want to remove the meat. You just want to remove the fat off the bottom. And I'm going to put that off to the side. You're going to throw that away. That is not beneficial. I'm actually going to run and get my sharper Big Green Egg knife that's a little bit bigger that I use when I have boning problems. Sorry you guys are so close to my face. Okay, that's my carving knife, but I think that'll work. I'm going to use the carving knife because that'll work, and I got to watch how these are incredibly sharp knives. They're steel knives that I got from Japan, and they're just great. They were not cheap. The set of 4 Big Green Egg knives were well over $400, but they do the job. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into here, and I'm just going to remove some of this fat from the bottom. I probably should have used my other good knife, but we'll see. And like I said, you want to use really good, sharp knives when you do this. And this is going to be very, very similar to how I'm going to have to do the brisket, because the brisket also has a lot of fat, but we'll get into that when we actually do the brisket. And I'm just going to take some of this excess fat over here. Yeah, sometimes these have a lot of fat, and you just don't need all this fat packets, because then what happens is your meat takes on a very fat consistency. And you will notice if you buy a leg of lamb, if a butcher actually trimmed it for you, you're going to notice it in the price. It's going to be a lot more money than if you do it yourself. And it's not all that difficult to do. It can be time consuming. And like I said, we're just going and you just want to kind of just lift up and trim any excess fat. And like I said, this will easily feed 8 or 9 people. Now, the silver stuff, and I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try to get you in close. This silver stuff right here, where the tip of the knife is right here. That's a tendon. You can also remove that. Sometimes it's harder to remove those things. And like I said, that's where a good butcher can come in. But 9 out of 10 times, if a butcher does that for you, he's definitely going to charge you for it, for doing it. So we're just going to remove those. And it took me, you might be wondering, how did I learn how to do this? Well, it was trial and error with some of my meat, and it is time consuming. So you want to make sure you work fast, that you are diligent, and always what I recommend to folks is always start with a cheap cut of meat. If you're new to doing this, don't start with something that's really, really, really expensive. Start with something that if you ruin it or you cut too much meat off of it, yeah, you might take a little hit to your pocketbook, but you're not going to waste a lot of money by doing it. And this trimmed pretty nicely. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to bring you in close. And you can see there's a little bit of fat back here, and I'm going to pull you guys back. There's a little bit of fat, but that's okay. You can leave some fat on the bottom. And I'm going to flip the lamb over, and we're going to look at the front. Now, if there's a lot of thick fat in the front, which I'm looking at, you can trim that. You want to leave a good amount of fat, but if it's, like I said, if it's really, really thick, and this piece is really, really thick. You can see how thick that is. You want to remove that, but you want to keep a good chunk of fat, because what that does is it gives your leg of lamb moisture. But what you're going to do is you're going to score the top of your lamb. If you don't know what scoring is you're just going to take a very, very sharp knife, and you're going to cut into it. And I'm just... And I'm just scoring the fat. I'm going to show you guys what I kind of did. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this, but I just scored it. And you want to do that with lamb, sometimes with like good prime rib roast. You don't have to, but sometimes I score like the big fat cap that's on a prime rib roast. Ham, you definitely want to do that with. So now that we're done, I'm going to put the big knife aside, and I'm going to take all of this fat, which is waste. You're just going to want to throw that out. That's not good for anything. I don't even know if you can necessarily use it as suet for birds, but sometimes you can. Then what we're going to do is we're going to flip the lamb over to the bottom side. I'm going to wash my hands for a quick second. I'm also going to stop the video for a second, and I'll pick it right back up in 1 second. So let me dry my hands, and then I'm going to stop you and restart you really fast.